A dramatic warning is now coming from Moscow, and it's drawing a straight line from Caracas to Kyiv. Russia claims the U.S. set a new precedent by seizing Venezuela's president. Now, a senior Kremlin figure is asking a chilling question. If it happened there, why not elsewhere? And at the center of this warning, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Russia's former president and current deputy head of its Security Council has issued a stark warning. Dmitry Medvedev says Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky could face the same fate as Venezuela's Nicolás Maduro, following what he calls a U.S.-orchestrated abduction. In remarks carried by Russia's state news agency TASS, Medvedev described Maduro's detention not as a legal process, but as a kidnapping driven by American interests, particularly natural resources. He claimed the operation showed Washington's willingness to remove leaders it no longer finds useful. Medvedev drew a direct comparison between Maduro and Zelensky, repeating Moscow's long-standing claim that Ukraine's president has lost legitimacy. Russia argues Zelensky's elected term has expired, a claim Kyiv rejects, citing martial law during wartime. According to Medvedev, if the United States was prepared to detain a Latin American leader on criminal charges, it could apply the same logic elsewhere. He warned that failure to align with Washington's demands could make Ukraine's leadership vulnerable to similar treatment. Medvedev also accused European governments of cowardice, claiming they quietly accepted Maduro's detention without protest. He suggested the silence signaled approval and warned that such passivity could invite further destabilizing actions. Russia has separately warned the United States over its actions in Venezuela, framing them as dangerous precedent-setting moves. The message from Moscow is clear. If leaders can be removed by force outside their borders, no presidency is truly untouchable.
The shockwaves from Washington's strike on Venezuela are already rippling far beyond Latin America. Moscow was among the first capitals to respond, and its words were sharp, deliberate, and unmistakable. Calling the U.S. action armed aggression, Russia has drawn a red line around sovereignty, escalation, and global stability. As confusion deepens in Caracas, the diplomatic and military fallout is accelerating. Russia reacted swiftly and forcefully. In a rare early morning statement, Moscow accused the United States of committing an act of armed aggression against Venezuela, condemning the strike and warning that escalation could spiral beyond control. The Russian Foreign Ministry rejected Washington's justification outright, calling it untenable. Moscow said ideological hostility had overtaken diplomacy and that trust, predictability, and pragmatism had been abandoned in favor of force. Russia urged all sides to step back. Dialogue, it said, must replace military pressure. Moscow reaffirmed its position that disputes, no matter how severe, must be resolved through negotiation, not bombardment. The message was pointed. Latin America must remain a zone of peace. Venezuela, Russia said, has the right to determine its own future, free from external military interference. Moscow declared its solidarity with the Venezuelan people and voiced support for the country's Bolivarian leadership, framing the crisis as a test of sovereignty, not just for Venezuela, but for international order. Russia also backed calls from Caracas and regional leaders for an emergency session of the UN Security Council, signaling that this confrontation is now headed for the world's highest diplomatic arena. Even as statements flew, uncertainty deepened on the ground. Venezuela's vice president admitted the government did not know the whereabouts of President Nicolás Maduro or the First Lady. That admission came hours after President Donald Trump claimed U.S. forces had carried out a large-scale strike and that Maduro and his wife had been captured and removed from the country. Venezuela's defense minister moved quickly. Vladimir Padrino ordered a full deployment of the armed forces, confirming attacks on multiple sites and calling on troops to stand firm and carry out presidential orders. Russia's embassy in Caracas says it remains operational, in constant contact with Venezuelan authorities and Russian citizens. Moscow reports no casualties among Russian nationals, for now. But the warning stands. From Moscow's view, this is no isolated strike. It is a dangerous precedent, one that risks dragging the region and the world into deeper confrontation.
The Bolivarian National Armed Forces informed the entire world that in the early hours of today, January 3rd, the Venezuelan people have been subjected to the most criminal military aggression by the government of the United States of America. So far, the barbarity of the invading forces that have desecrated our sacred soil in the areas of Fuerte Tiuna, Caracas, and the states of Miranda, Aragua, and La Guaira has reached the point of striking with their missiles and rockets fired from combat helicopters into residential areas populated by civilians. We are currently gathering information regarding the wounded and the dead.